All right, everybody, welcome back to Friday Nights in Carolina, the show. It is time for our weekly guest appearance, guest segment, and today we have a very special demonstration today. We are joined by Bill Shafer from Launch Pad Products to talk about the Launch Pad Kickoff Tee. Bill, thanks so much for taking the time, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. You bet.
As we get started, why don't you tell all the listeners a little bit about your background, and were you a kicker or a punter yourself?
That's a great question. In high school, I graduated at 105 pounds. So I couldn't play football. I was just one of these guys. It was just real small. I wrestled. That was okay. I had a nice career as a wrestler. Went into the Navy. When I got out, I grew up, and I went to Ray Pelfrey's camp in the mid '80s. I don't know. You're too young to remember Ray Pelfrey, probably. I don't know, but Ray Pelfrey was the name of the game back in the '80s. And I went to his camp, and I walked on at Akron University and got the job. And it was just an amazing thing. And it was an opportunity that came my way, and I got to do it. And then after that, I played in the semi-pros for a little bit. And just like you, Mitch, I thought I was good enough for the pros too. But, there's only 32 guys that can ever be a kicker in the NFL at one time. So it didn't work out for me. But I've been coaching, and I'm 60 years old today. And it keeps me young. And it keeps me reaching. And I'm always looking to make gains, no matter what, for the rest of the time. That's where I come from, and that's what I'm doing here.
Man, that is so awesome. I love that, you spent your whole life, being around kickers and just kind of perfecting your craft. So
Yes.
As we kind of start talking about, the Launch Pad Kickoff Tee, where did you get the idea for such a cool product?
We obsess on football. I'm out here in Massillon, Ohio. It's the home of Paul Brown, who named the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. And innovation has always been a big part of our community. And we obsess on football. So the co-inventor and I, Coach David Abdul, we're sitting around watching football as we always do. And we're paying attention to the kickers. And there was a kicker for Pittsburgh way back in the 90s, Gary Anderson. And he had a single bar face mask. And, he was just a different kind of a cat. But man, this guy could kick. And on his field goals, we noticed that this guy leaned the ball. He had his holder lean the ball forward like this, which seemed counterintuitive to us. We've all seen Charlie Brown, right? Lucy, she leans the ball backwards. Everybody knows that, right?
Right.
So this guy was leaning the ball forward. So we thought, well, why is that? And we were able to determine why that was. It gives your ball more thrust. It gives you more accuracy. It gives you better height, and it exposes the sweet spot. So no kickoff tee that we know of that will do that. And so we came up with the concept of a forward lean football tee. And that's where the Launch Pad came from, is from Gary Anderson's.
For everybody that might not be a kicker or punter, or some coaches that aren't familiar with it, what benefits would you say the forward lean gives you on kickoffs?
Excellent question. I don't know if you've ever kicked a football at all, but it's probably been in grass if you've ever kicked a football. And it's hard. It's hard to get to that spot, to the sweet spot sometimes, especially when you lean the ball back. Look, the further back you lean it, which is harder and harder to get to that sweet spot. Okay. Forward lean, look what it does to that sweet spot, Mitch. Look at that.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, it's right there. And even if you've got deep grass, this 1-inch platform which is what this is, actually seems more like a 2.5 or a 3-inch platform because of the way it exposes the sweet spot. So kickers are getting a bigger portion of the sweet spot and access to it that they've never had before. So that's the main thing a forward lean does.
That is just so cool. When I was doing all my research this past week, what really intrigued me about it is because I talk with high school coaches all the time. It just seems like a great option for them because in high school, you, me, we all know it's not always a given that they're going to get a touchback, especially on JV. I just feel like this tee can change the game. You can change the field position game with it, which is just mind blowing to me.
That's very interesting that you say that. You've obviously been paying attention and thinking about this, because this is the main problem high school coaches have, is that even if they do have a developing blue chip kicker, as a freshman, a sophomore, and sometimes as a junior, you don't reach the end zone.
No, you don't.
So it's just like you said. So what this tee does is forget the forward lean for a second. The hallmark of this tee is that you can get any lean on this tee that you can't get on other tees. You can do things with this tee that you can't do with other tees. And because of that, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me grab this. Ball set chart. And I don't know, can you see this, Mitch?
It's a little blurry, but I can see it. I can see it a little bit. Yes.
Well, I'll just mention it then. When you order a Launch Pad Kickoff Tee, and we'll be sending you a couple of these this week. When you order a Launch Pad Kickoff Tee, you get our unique ball set chart. And this ball set chart gives you sets you cannot do with other tees. And because of that, this section right here, these are dial up squibs. You can dial in what kind of squib you want, kicking this direction. You want a coarse roller, you want a medium roller, you want a fine roller, whatever you want. You cannot do this with other tees.
That is unbelievable. My first thought when I saw that is that can single-handedly change the onside kick game.
It really does. The way we set it up, we have what we call 2 wrecking zones when you're a kickoff team. The wrecking zones are 20 yards out, diagonal from the point of the kickoff, where it actually is. And the reason those are wrecking zones is because with these squib sets, you can get the ball straight through, uncatchable, so that it matches the opposition 35-yard line. At the same time, your defenders get to that spot. 50% of the time, it's even onside kick.
Wow,
that's amazing.
That really is. You know, I watched multiple of your YouTube videos about actually demonstrating the tee in action. And what I liked is you had a video demonstrating the differences in your product versus a standard, ground zero tee. I couldn't believe it, genuinely. And I believe there was one of you kicking a 70-yard kickoff with it. I mean, it's just crazy, mind-boggling, cool stuff. It just looks so simple, but as you're going into it, it's so complex, the things you can do with it. What are some of the things that make your product stand out, versus a standard ground zero tee that you haven't already touched on?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Mitch. That really is. And I don't have a ground zero, but what I do have, this is a great tee. You ever see one of these?
I have, yes.
This is the Under Armour Kick 6. Okay. This is a high precision piece of equipment. It has metal inserts in it, right? But this is the difference, the main difference. See this mounting structure here? It's a cup, okay? And because it's a cup, the ball literally fits down into that cup. So you cannot access this part of the ball with this tee. If you kick this part of the ball, you're going to kick this tee at 40 miles per hour foot speed. You don't want to do this, okay? So in fact, last year, Will Reichert is the kicker for the highly touted freshman kicker for Alabama. First kickoff of the season, kicked his ground zero, tore his hip flexor, out for the season, national championship implications. I'll send you a copy of this article written by Tony Tsoukalis of Rivals.com, Bama Insider. The title of the article was "A New Tee Would Have Prevented Injury to Alabama's Reichert."
That is unbelievable. That in just the short time. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this went into effect in fall of 2019.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in that short time to gain the notoriety and the following you have is just unheard of. And kind of building into that, I love the social media content you guys are putting out. Recently, I know you were down at a camp in Dallas at AT&T Stadium, aka Jerry World, for everybody that knows it better as that. And it was so cool to see, the videos of, one kicker after another just launching bombs. How was it received by them and the coaches there? And talk about the camp.
Well, the camp was put on by National Kicking Rankings, NKR. They're out of Texas, and they also have a branch in Minnesota, but they're all over the country. What's different about them is National Kicking Rankings, they're not just a charting or a grading organization. They actually teach these guys. They actually train. They're charting, and then they do a heavy training session. And that's why they asked me in, is because we can't believe how many people have been responding to the Launch Pad Kickoff Tee. So they asked us if we wanted to come to Dallas and go to AT&T Stadium and be on the field teaching their kickers how to use the launch pad. What do you think the answer to that was?
Absolutely. Sign me up.
I pulled out all my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We hired a team of photographers and videographers and went down there, and we had an absolute blast at that camp. It was very well received. And as you saw from that lineup, these guys couldn't wait to get their hands up, to get their foot on a ball coming off the launch pad, and the results were just unbelievable.
I mean, guys, I'll tag the video in it for everybody that's watching. You've got to see this. I mean, their end zone shot after end zone shot. It was really cool, and that's something for somebody that covers high school football, and that's all I do. You do not see that. Just so everybody knows, you don't see those kind of kickoffs, and that's really what stood out to me about it. Yeah, I think the major question for everybody listening right now is, can they use it in the NCAA? You know, what about High School Athletic Association? Where do you stand on that currently?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Mitch. We applied to both we applied to the NFL, the NCAA, and to the National Football High School Association. High school came back absolutely legal for on-field use and has been being used last year. And NCAA came back and said absolutely is compliant and legal for use on field and has been being used. And the NFL, we're still waiting to hear from them. You know,
Right.
There's only one tee that they've used for the last 25 years, and it's the Ground Zero. The Ground Zero is an exceptional tee. It's created by Jay Siegel and Lou Groza, the Groza family, believe it or not. That's how long it's been around. We like to call it the Model T because it really was the greatest thing in the world as a standard tee. But now, like the Model T, its time is basically past. You asked a question, what's the difference between the tees? Let me just show you this, if you don't mind, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. I'd love to see.
This is why I said this is the same mounting apparatus as a Ground Zero and every other tee basically that's out there right now. Okay, with a possible exception of the Jawbone, but I won't bore you with the details. This is the set. That's the set. If you want to lean the ball back, that's about it. If you go a little bit further, it's about it. This way, you can't do a forward lean at all. That's it. So basically, that's your range. Yeah, what we do first is we set our ball up, same set. This tee will do what this tee does. All right? But when you want to lean back, this tee won't do that. Okay? Or if you want to lean forward, this tee won't do that. If you want to squib, that is just mind numbing. You can't really get those sets with this. So that's the main difference. Yes, it's a forward lean, but the main difference is 360 degrees of power not available anywhere else. It's just that simple.
That is just so mind-blowing that this type of products out there, and I really do think it can benefit high school programs more than anything. I mean, can you imagine if for any coaches watching out there, that kickoff, that run back touchdown that took you out of the playoffs last year, if you would have got a touchback on it. So that's immediately where my mind goes is, hey, I can prevent that. So
yes, with a touchback or an intermediate range squib, mind-blowing squib that your team is going to recover. And if they don't recover, it's going to be on the opposition 35, which is about average for your return anyways.
Yeah, and I'll take my chances. Last last couple seconds of the game if they're on the 35 versus, them returning it for sure. All right,
Absolutely.
Bill, final question, and we're going to let you go. If
Okay.
somebody wants to purchase the Launch Pad Kickoff Tee, where can they purchase it from?
Okay, as of today, they can go to our website and get a discount link from your podcast. Okay, so here's what they do. Let me get the address here. Okay, so they go to www.launchpadkickoffT.com/FNC. When they do that, you get a discount. And if you buy a couple of tees, you get a deep discount and free shipping. And you're going to want to get 2 tees at least.
Hey,
go ahead.
I was going to say, and to everybody listening, guys, we don't just endorse any product. I'm telling you, coaches, kickers, this tee is a game changer. I've done the homework on it. I've done the research on it. Listen to what this man says. It can literally change the outcome of games. Bill,
thanks.
The floor is yours.
I really appreciate you having us in tonight. We love what you guys are doing. I understand that you have a game of the week broadcast during the season. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, make sure and tune into that. We can't wait for the season to start. We love Carolina football. Turns out Carolina loves football.
Well, we are crazy about football.
Oh, I didn't know that. We're from Ohio. We keep a spreadsheet of all of our sales across the country. North Carolina and South Carolina together are probably our number 3 market. It's unbelievable.
That is crazy. I know the kicking market, the long snappers down here, the punters. I mean, it's growing by the month, the guys that are getting into that. So we are definitely a football crazed couple of states. So once again, guys, this is the Launch Pad Kickoff Tee. Do yourself a service. Check them out on YouTube. We're going to put all the links below. And hey, who knows? You might even be able to get a couple more touchbacks. Bill, thank you so much for joining tonight. It was an absolute pleasure.
You bet, Mitch. Anytime.
All right. Guys, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. You're listening to Friday Nights in Carolina, the show.